All right, Tax 2.0 making voters forget, well, I don't know, Trump, Putin 1.0? That's what a lot of Republicans are hoping, regardless of what you thought of that powerful powwow earlier this week, that the focus should be on the improving economy, the improving markets, and obviously a lot of money in people's hands here. So more of that, more of the focus on taxes. Tax cuts, more to the point. The Tax Foundation President Scott Hodge, former Trump transition team member Ken Blackwell. Ken, what do you make of that? The idea that Republicans, say what you will, were a little concerned about the president's performance in Finland, but not at all about his performance with the economy on tax cuts. Zero in on that, focus on that, let that be the winning message. What do you think?
Absolutely. That's smart politics and it's sound policy. One, you and I have talked about it on a number of occasions, getting that capital back into our economy, looking at a quarter where we're going to probably hit 4% economic growth, job creation. You have corporations talking about, investing more in their workers. And now we're talking about making the tax reform, tax cut that the middle income taxpayers realized on the first go around permanent. I mean, that's a good news proposition, and the Democrats can run against that if they want, but I think it would be very unproductive, politically speaking, for them, because it's good for the American people.
I'm sorry there. Scott, apparently whatever enthusiasm might exist for revisiting the tax cuts in the House, not so much in the Senate, where I guess the leadership fears that it will just help a couple of those Democrats who voted against the tax cuts in the last go-round, giving them sort of, a poll-lifting vote this go-round. So where is this all going?
That's exactly right, Neil. They don't want to give some of these Democrats in those red states a free vote, having voted against it the first time. So really this is kind of a political statement on the part of at least the Republicans in the House of Representatives, that they're putting down a marker that, as Ken said, major portions of this tax bill begin to expire in 5 to 8 years, and they don't want the economy to hit a hiccup or a speed bump in that time. So the sooner that we can lay down a marker that we want these tax cuts to be permanent, the better that is. And of course, this is a political statement right before the election, so there's nothing wrong with that either.
The more immediate pressing, I think, for Republicans, and maybe you'll disagree, Ken, is the trade thing, because whether you're for or against them, the impact they could have, the tariffs could have before they're resolved, if they're ever resolved, is right away. Already we're getting word that Senator Orrin Hatch has shot a letter off to the administration saying he's very, very concerned with what's happening on the tariff front, and that he's urging the president to reconsider. If he doesn't, he would move to curtail presidential trade authority. What do you think of that?
Well, I think in the final analysis, Orrin and the president are on good terms. While they don't always see eye to eye, they can get to a common strategy. Look, the president is operating from a position of strength. When we have our economy growing and folks making investments in our businesses, he isn't out there fighting in American self-interest. That is making sure that the trade deals are fair and equitable, and that folks are carrying and pulling their weight. I think you're going to see more and more of our European allies coming around to understanding that they better get on the good foot so that we can continue to have the sort of coalition in the marketplace.
Well, they're not doing that. If anything, Ken, and Scott will raise his view, some of them are, cozying up to China with them, doing joint or bilateral deals that don't involve the United States because they're running out of patience. Does that, on just a point, regardless of the politics, does that offset whatever's happening on the tax cut front? Because those tariffs are coming. They're here. A lot of Americans are already paying a lot of this. So, and it's only bound to get worse before it, hopefully, I know the administration trusts it will stabilize.
That's certainly the danger, Neil. In fact, our models say that if this escalates, if Europe raises its tariffs to match ours, if China goes nuts and starts taxing more of our products, then that could reduce the benefits of the tax cut plan by at least 25%. That's not good. The last thing that the economy needs, as it's picking up steam and more people are getting jobs and getting higher wages, is to see a stumbling block here drawn down by the tariffs. That would be a bad thing.
Do you think, and you know the president very well, Ken, so just as a friend and as someone who's worked with him, does the president firmly believe that the Chinese will blink? That there's no reason for us to worry about this because we're using the bank's money per that line he used in the CNBC interview, that we've got that going for us. We've got the stronger economy, the stronger markets, and he's fully convinced of that.
I think he is, and one of the things that you and I have always talked about is that this president operates better than most folks in chaos. And the reality is that this is a disruptive move. It changes the status quo, but the status quo is not good enough. And so I think this president is a smart wheeler and dealer. He's a smart negotiator. And I think China understands that there are so many fronts that they can't afford to have us mad at them that they'll come around. Because what he's asking for is not for them. He's asking for them to stop cheating. He's asking them to stop stealing. It's a pretty, straightforward,
well, does that
honest
apply
request.
to us? Does that apply to us? Slapping 20+% tariffs on light vehicles?
I think it applies to us when, in fact, we cheat or steal, and I don't think that we cheat or steal a lot.
But don't forget who actually pays for these tariffs.
That's right.
It's American consumers and taxpayers. So the pain is ultimately on us, not them.
Well, Ken's an elitist, if you think about it. He's a wonderful human being. He's just an elitist. All right, guys, seriously, thank you both very much. Have a wonderful weekend.